live.
Oh no,
I
we're
know,
back.
we're back with another episode 13 of this series. As always, the VOD will be over on YouTube channel. That's where it always is. We are live on both YouTube and Twitch. Um, quite simple, quite intimate. The podcast is live. The podcast is here. Now, okay. Good news, bad news. The podcast is here. So, our first topic is we're going to talk about Star Trek because we're Star Trek nerds.
We are. Tis true.
We are legitimately Star Trek nerds, and we're going to talk about, well, you know, Star Trek. So,
Well, I mean,
I am.
we've got a lot to talk about with because we've got a couple of bits of news with Star Trek. To be fair, over the last couple of days,
Mhm.
I know you want to. I know where you want to go with this. To do with Star Trek Academy.
I
But
know. I'm
before
so
we
sad.
get to that, one of the things I heard that saw was very interesting was from Marina Shorts. I've just did her name, Deanna Troy. Um,
Oh, Marina Sirtis.
in response, yes, to over the her response to fans wanting a Star Trek Legacy series, and her response being, "No one wants to see a bunch of actors in their 70s running around a starship." I agree to an extent, but she's also wrong. That's not what anyone has ever asked for in Star Trek Legacy. Um, we wanted, especially after the results of Picard, we were very happy with having legacy characters come back, but we see Seven of Nine do some cool crap in a Enterprise ship, um, and then link it back to two great series that get very little love, which is Voyager and Deep Space Nine. Um, and so, yeah, I found her comments very strange to think that we wouldn't want this because this the two things that we have been begging for more than anything else is a proper legacy series about everything in the eras that we remember, which is the pre-discovery era, um, and the other one was a Star Trek Academy series. But for years everyone's been begging for a Red Squad Academy series set in that era. See what was going on there. And it's just interesting that neither of those two things ever really happened. And then what we did get was Star Trek Academy, which didn't go quite well.
Well, the show is like, from people that have watched it, has gotten a lot of praise. It's just not got. It's just it didn't do as well as they wanted it to do. But excuse me. Let's be absolutely honest with it. I think we've discussed this before. The main issue is we both agree Discovery should have been set in that time period from the beginning. With
No, no,
I think.
I see. No, I mean, I personally, I love Discovery. I really do love Discovery. Um, it was great new Trek. I love the way it did its thing. I really like the whole early days stuff going into Strange New Worlds. All of that. I mean, even Strange New Worlds, really big. I love what they did there, um, and I even love the future stuff. I just think we should have we should have learned more about that intervening period
Yeah.
in any new Trek before something like this Academy show, which could have meant just this. We watched another season of Discovery in which they were meeting up with that universe again and showing us the lay of the land.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. We just needed more time in the future universe before anything else, I
Before we
think.
had a show that is essentially. I know you're going to probably not agree with me in the comparison, but you might agree with me in a little bit of the comparison. Is essentially like the future timelines DS9, essentially, where it's not Star Trek ship based as much. It's based in a, like a smaller setting, technically, like a more like serialized show
Yes,
versus
I get
the
that. And
usual Monster of the
yes,
Week stuff. Like it's that style of show versus, you know,
it is yes. I mean, very much very much like Deep Space Nine. It was a big takeaway from traditional Trek,
yeah,
and by that I mean you're in a spaceship flying around space.
yeah. Because like
You
I
were
agree, we needed a series set in this time period. Like with another, I think it would have been better with another ship than Discovery, and I think it would have been better with a ship full of crew that were from the War Academy to show just how different this Federation is at this point in history. To show that these are the Federation that is essentially the military first rather than explorers first because of
yeah.
what happened. So then you get this feel of this is how the Federation's like adapted to all the bad shit that's happened, the burn, everything. They became more
Mhm.
militarized. They turned over to the military rather than, because exploring the galaxy wasn't a thing. They had to turn to defense. And having that warship crew, as the story goes on, dealing with probably more combat stuff, like a bit more like, the DS9 Dominion Wars and stuff, but dealing with, and it would have introduced us a bit more to the Venari Rye, because we don't really get really much about them. They're kind of just like this bad guy that, like, these bad guys that have shown up a little bit. We get a lot more about them we need a lot more about them, and could have had this, establishing the Venari threat, establishing the fact that Klingons are now, because we're going to spoil a lot of things with Academy. It's over. I've enjoyed every episode of Academy. You didn't like it as well as I did, but that's fair. We
No,
don't.
that's
Not
true.
everyone has to like everything.
That's
That's the
it.
thing.
It's not. That's it. Not everything is made for everyone.
Hmm.
This wasn't for me.
For me, it
Um,
was 90210 or Roswell or Dawson Creek, but Star Trek for me. It
yeah,
was, and I enjoyed it because I enjoy those sort of shows. I like the sort of teen drama shit shows because I like seeing these sort of stuff where it's a bunch of, like Smallville and like this style of show. I like these style of shows a lot more than you do. So it's
yeah.
obviously it resonated with me more. Like the
Well,
character
I
drama
mean,
and
like for me as well. For another example to this as well is like I love the animated Star Trek stuff from the original series to Lower Decks.
hmm
Star Trek Prodigy. I can see it was a beautiful show. I know full well it had great writing and great stories.
I loved it.
That also wasn't for me.
No,
I tried
I
and I
enjoyed
tried because it
Prodigy
was
a lot.
Star Trek, because it's Voyager.
I enjoyed
Loads of
Prodigy a
people
lot.
did. I enjoyed a couple of episodes. It was very much a once again a legacy show to Voyager, for
Hmm.
many reasons. But yeah, it wasn't for me, and it doesn't mean it was bad. It
No.
at all. It doesn't mean it was bad. It just means
It's one of those shows that, like,
it was something
even
I
now
could be
people
invested in.
are sat there going, are sat there going, why did they cancel Prodigy? And it, like, because Paramount keep canceling these shows as they're giving them chance. But I will admit, one of my reasons I think that unfortunately Academy also didn't do as well is that they did spend way too much on a show that even you and I know in the Star Trek community is going to be a kind of a more niche Star Trek show because it's not
Hmm.
a spaceship. It's like a spin-off show, and like the controversy with the show. The worst controversy of the show is that Captain Ake doesn't wear shoes and is, rather than sitting in a chair normally, she likes to lay in the captain's chair. And I'm sat there going, "You're getting mad at like a lanthanite that we've established from Strange New Worlds. Don't take anything seriously." Like it seems to be they have an incredibly long life, like Illyrians do from Next Generation, what Guinan is.
Yeah.
Whereas Guinan's people were all serious and a bit more, like philosophical and everything. Lanthanites seem to just take the "I'm basically immortal. Why the fuck should I care?" approach to things.
Yeah, I mean, I
They're
get
the
that.
lackadaisy sort of immortals, whereas
That was kind of my problem though. With I did have an issue with her characterization, um, because especially at that point in time, you're meant to be training these new people to be the new best of the Federation, to be better than war, and to
yeah,
actually, and I just think they needed less her being flippant and comical with a lot of it, and to be a little bit more serious, a little bit more
I
Star
think
Trek
I think
in that
for
case.
me it I think for me it balanced out with Lurathok. played by the wonderful
I,
Gina.
I,
I love Lara
Gina,
Fox.
that's right.
Fucking
Can't
hell.
complain about
I
anything
love her.
that woman does.
She is so fucking awesome as that character. I love her to bits. Especially
Yes.
and the fact that it's her and Tig Norton's like characters that are the two that are married. And I love Tig Norton. Tig Norton is
Yep.
fucking amazing when she shows up. The fact that it's like because you've now watched the finale, haven't you? Like the two finales.
No.
Like, do you care if I
Did
spoil?
I?
I don't. The finale is
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. With the whole Omega stuff. Yes, I
yeah.
did. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the way that she like addresses the cadets in like asking them questions. It's like she takes that whole situation they're in and still turns it into a teachable moment by asking them for the solution instead of just telling them what to do. And when you pick, it's like, and you pay. Also, she has the best. Might not be a captain, but she has the best make it so line I think out of any Star Trek character. Now show me pretty colors. Pretty streets of light. Just is like
yeah.
the most. Yeah, it's like the most Tig Norton thing of just. I'm not a captain. I'm the engineer.
Yeah. Once again. So that was kind of my thing as well. So Tig's character did all the things that the captain was doing, but better, and all of that, and they sort of had two characters
Mm-hmm.
there that were very similar in their attitudes to what was going on and how they were talking to people and doing things. And having that as an engineer or as someone that isn't the captain but has power on the ship is great because you kind of had that sort of. I mean, Will Riker was, was still very
Well, Will's
part
the.
of.
Let's be honest. In Next Generation, for example, Picard is the straight man. He's the,
Yes.
he's the serious one. Riker was the whimsical one of the two of them. Still
Yes.
serious, but and I think that's what it is with Ake. And if you pay attention, it's Ake and Lura is like because Lura's the number one. It's the reverse of the captain's a bit more laxy daisy, but the first officer is by the book. And
Yeah, I mean, I get
I
it.
think
Like
the
I say,
thing
you've
with
already got that sort
I
of
think the other
character
thing with
with
Ake
Tig's
is
character.
also that Aki isn't a captain; she's the chancellor of the academy, but she's also. I think also it's like the general theme of the show is these kids like might be coming to join this academy and becoming the best of Starfleet, but it's their first year, and most of these people are coming from war-torn families and refugee camps. They've never had a chance to just kind of enjoy their life. They've always been a lot of them have always been from one thing to the next and stuff like for Caleb and stuff. And I think her laxates thing is the reason is because it's established that she's trying to give them make them feel more at home and more like let them be kids basically because they need to have a lot of them have never experienced it most likely because the childhoods they've had because of everything from the burn. But like we said, because we don't know much about the burn, we don't actually know much about it and everything, and we don't have much established of like the background of this time period. Unfortunately, it doesn't impact us as well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's portrayed well in like individual stories and the episodes and everything. Like every episode to me, I enjoyed every episode. I enjoyed every single bit. The Klingon parts, but like as we both said, is that I still needed more than just that single episode that explains why the Klingons are the way they are now. Like I do feel like you were right where we need either an anthology series set in this time period that like is various stories around various races to give us bits of backstory around how they've changed, because of the burn, or a series following a ship from the War Academy to show how the Federation changed and how their interactions with the galaxies changed because of this.
Yeah.
To show how everything is before Academy, and then Academy should have come after it, as we're now reopening the Academy because we are going to try to become what we used to be and basically resurrect Starfleet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so I understand why they couldn't have made something because we were talking about this the other day. I think there should have been an anthology series of some kind in between, in which every episode either focused on a particular race in Star Trek to see how things happened between before the burn, after the burn, and coming up to now. and because they're all big events, in these races' histories and how they've changed to become what they are today. What that insulation was like for, the Romulans, the Klingons, the Vulcans, the Ferengi, how these things happened to them and what they did in that meantime. And you can easily have, if you did like a 9-episode season,
Right.
you'd have 3 episodes for each, 3 from before the burn, 3 episodes from when the burn happened, and 3 episodes from after the burn, focusing on these different groups of people,
Yeah.
or groups of space.
Or different families. Like you have before the burn, you focus on like specific like say Klingon house of like Darmok or something. I can't think of a Klingon name off the top of my head, for example. And then you see how that family's changed with like a new set of family members, after the burn. Like, you know what I mean? Then you see a new set of like family members of the same family line. You can recognize, because that way you could reuse the same actors and have them playing different characters technically.
Yep.
At the point after that point in Academy where they've now found this, the Klingons have got their new Kronos and stuff. You know what I mean? To show how.
But I think I can see why they couldn't do that live action. But you know what you could do? Animated series.
Mm-hmm.
Animated, because we've got so many. I mean, after yes, it was a comedy show more than anything, but after Lower Decks,
Lower Decks gave us so much world building in that entire show.
It gave us so much world building, and it gave us some really good Trek. But it was funny. They worked that line out, which is very, very difficult. The only person I think really there's only really been 2 other shows, in my opinion, that have really done science fiction and comedy right in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
One is Orville, one is Red Dwarf.
Yep.
And then Star Trek has managed to get Lower Decks. Yes, there are other comedy sci-fi series like, and shows, Spaceballs, blah, blah, blah. But they're not, it's not series based, and it's not based in a particular style, for want of a better term. One is a parody. These weren't parodies. These were proper shows with a comedy element.
Yeah.
And that is a very different thing, and it's a very difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
But they in those 3 cases, they pulled it off. And just to go with it, one of the actors, I can never remember a bloody name.
Tony Newsom.
After my favourite episode of the Academy was written by her.
Yep.
And I didn't know that at the time. And I was like, and I remember saying to you, whoever wrote this episode needs a series.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be just doing one-off episodes. And that's when he told me who it was. I was like,
yeah, Tony Newsom.
They need to be in charge of a series.
And it's just, like
it just makes sense.
You've rewatched the episode, I've rewatched it, and it's like on the rewatched episode, you realise like who her character is that she's playing a lot earlier than when you watch it the first time. You don't notice it's her who it is, and then when you rewatch, you're like, holy shit, she was telling us Dax was telling us who they were the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Like they were telling us who they were the entire time. And I'm like, holy! And the minute I was like, the minute that even I went at that bit when it finally told us who it was, I was like, it's Dax. There's a lot of people though that are like mad, going, "Oh, don't symbiotes only live for this long and that long?" And I'm sat there going, we know that Dax was old. We've never had an official age for how long symbiotes live.
No.
We've just
and even then we know, so sort of partially to some extent, even with the whole Dax thing, we don't know that isn't the actual symbiote that she has in her isn't actually a descendant from one of the other symbiotes anyway, because we've seen birthing pools for symbiotes in Voyager, in Deep Space Nine.
Also, remember when the Trill first appeared, they couldn't use the transporter. They forgot about that in Deep Space Nine.
Well,
but
there would have been reasons why.
If you actually,
but it's one of those
silly little things that people point out about Deep Space Nine. They forgot Trill can't use the transporter, and I'm like, it's probably because the transporter technology is advanced, where it no longer kills the symbiote. Because there is a few years between Next Generation and, Deep Space Nine.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, we for a start, throughout the course of the Void Next Generation, anyway, There is an episode in which the whole transporter system gets upgraded anyway
Hmm.
during the period where they couldn't go over warp. I think it was warp 6.
Yeah.
For a whole period of time, which was mostly forgotten actually as a story element for every so often. It's like everything's an emergency. Go warp 9. Yeah, the transporter technology was
Hmm.
increased
Yeah.
and bettered, and yeah, and also the other side of it is that actually quite early on in that show as well, it's pointed out that the technology that they're using is Kardashian technology slowly being augmented with Federation technology. We don't know what Kardashian technology is capable of.
Uh-huh.
Probably more than Federation in
Yeah.
some cases.
And therein lies the issue. Therein, it's yeah, but it's like a thing with it's like we got Dax back, and we got I forget his name. We got the kid that played Cisco's son back as well.
Yes, we did. So the Jake,
Yeah,
all of it. I mean, there were
it
parts of the
legitimately like
episode
it's
that
just
had me in tears.
it was a love letter to DS9. It was a love letter entirely to Deep Space Nine, that episode. And I will say this,
One thing,
I will say this: the finale episode, like the last two, did feel like kind of a love letter to Voyager as well, with the what the Doctor does and everything, with him pulling out, the holo emitter, which is his holo emitter that he's had for all the way back since Voyager.
yeah,
Like it's that episode, and the fact that it was the Omega particle that was from Voyager. It was the fact that it was all like a bunch of the ending stuff was all Voyager. Like, yeah, here's our little love letter to Voyager as well, because we understand that it didn't get as much love in, but like TNG got Picard season 1, 2, and 3. It
hmm
got 3 seasons of, because TNG is, be honest, is probably one of the most loved Star Trek series. It's my favorite Star Trek series as well. Patrick Stewart and
yeah,
Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis are like my some of my favorite things, and Gates McFadden is like one of my favorite, are all my favorite. That's my my Star Trek crew is Next Generation, always will be, and it is like Picard was a love letter. Like even the last season Picard, Brent Spiner being like 4 different characters in that show is still the best thing ever, though.
yeah.
I love the fact that every time he came back, he's a different character and gets to act completely differently. And I'm like, you did this on purpose, because I fully am convinced they did that as a joke to the fact that how many times did he play another character in the
Oh yeah, well,
TNG?
he always plays anyone from the Sun line,
Yeah,
which is perfect.
yeah, they always look like him, and I'm like, I love this. It's brilliant. And it's one of those fun. It's one of those little fun things of like, yep, because season 2 is the whole preventing the Terran Federation. Uh, you know, essentially offend not the because the weird thing is it's not the mirror universe that they end up that they create. It's a worse version of the mirror universe. If you
hmm I mean,
that's what's even
the
more
other thing,
terrifying.
the only thing I did find sad, and it's just because of
Hmm.
life, but when because in that there is a whole big, especially towards the end, there is a massive Deep Space Nine connection. Um, and I found it was really sad that um, Rene Auberjonois couldn't be in it. I mean, he died, he'd passed away,
Yeah.
but they could have got his son in. His son looks exactly like him, and it would have been nice to actually have Odo back, because they talk about talking to Odo. Um,
Hmm.
I have a friend in the founders that we could talk to. It would have been nice if they could have done a callback in some way to him being there. But yeah,
I did like that we
I mean,
I did like that we got Tuvok back, even for a scene. I did like that Tuvok was there. We got
well, Tim
changeling
Russ,
Tuvok. It's like,
Tim Russ is one of those dudes that is always happy to be in something he's done in the past.
oh yeah, let's be absolutely honest. I have a full feeling he's going to show up in Spaceballs too.
Oh
Just
no, yes, he's already said he is.
because it's gonna
That's
and he's
already
gonna
been.
say the
Yeah.
exact same fucking line he says in the first movie. We ain't found
Well,
shit.
well, weird enough, that's something he does on a regular basis. If you look at his socials, every so often he'll be either sweeping up in his garden, or he's got this like little um, meditation sandpit thing, and every so often there is a video of him going, "Still ain't found shit."
It's because
Um,
it's like I'll embrace this joke forever. I know it's a meme now, but I'm gonna do it. I love it. It's like
yeah,
I like the fact that he just has a good sense of humor. It's like I recently found that the podcast that the We Were Spacemen one with
yes.
Jonathan and Brent. It is Brent, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh no, the one dropping names is the one with Once We Were Spacemen is Nathan Fillion and Andy Tuchik. And dropping names is the Jonathan Frakes and Brett Spiner one.
Yeah, it's the dropping names one with Brent Spiner and Jonathan Frakes, and they had with guest stars we were spacemen, and it's like, God damn it, you put all four of them together in a room. I'm just sat here going, oh dear God, no, this room is going to be
That was a
chaos.
very that episode of Once We Were Spacemen was very funny because it was there is a bit in it where they were like, we were thinking of a name very similar to that, and then we heard you had done it, and we was like, have they copyrighted that yet?
It does sound like, though. I love that the amount of times that that apparently a lot of TNG Data's lines were ad libbed by Brent, and
Yeah,
especially when he was playing Law, because he enjoyed playing Law way too much. It's like, I get to be emotional, Data, and it's funny. I love Law.
yeah. But
Law is a
one thing
brilliant
I've got to
villain.
say that is good. But one thing I've got to say, coming from the dropping names, is just how much work Brett Spiner has done over his life and who he's worked with.
Hmm.
It's amazing. But one of the things that came out of watching that I didn't know, and I do look at people's histories and shit. Oh, that's interesting. That's just the did you know sections of things.
Hmm.
Um, Once again, I didn't know Rene, the guy who the actor who plays Odo, was French royalty. His mum was an actual French princess. His full name has like 8 bleeding names in it because he is a direct relative of Napoleon Bonaparte. His name has got Bonaparte in it. Well, what is his actual full name? What's his full name? And titles. It is so he's part of the Marat line. So that's already a part. It is. I'm never gonna find the thing now, is it?
Never.
But it is something. It is Bonaparte Marat. And yeah, he. Oh, here we go. Who was the Napoleon Lucien Charles Marat? Is the full part of his name.
But yeah.
So like, he is. If ever they went back into a monarchy, he would have been in line,
Yeah, but the French behead their kings, so you wouldn't want to be in the monarchy of France.
That's what I say. If they ever go back, but yeah, it's
it's
that's why I love it.
Oh yeah, but it's like the thing with Star Trek is it's a cultural show, and a lot of people, I think even how many times did the original series get cancelled?
Oh, more than
far
once.
far too many times. Like, it's the most cancelled Star Trek show is the original series, and
well, it had so many weird issues with rights and stuff. I mean, one of the things. I mean, nowadays this has almost become common knowledge because how many times it comes up in those icebergs of Star Trek. But yeah, Lucy, Lucy LeBeau was a big proponent of this. I think the company name was Daisy Lou. She made her money on I Love Lucy. Her and her husband had money to put into things, and she was a big proponent of it. She was like, "This is going to work," and that's how that's how it started. If it wasn't for her,
mm-hmm.
And then later on,
well, it's like
of,
the other thing that kept Star Trek going off was actually housewives and women. Like, it was women that campaigned to keep the show around because it was something for Ironically, because it was something for them to watch while at home doing stuff. Because it was at times it came out at a time when a lot of countries still had it. Women couldn't work, or didn't need to work, so they were at home doing the cooking or the cleaning or watching TV. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
and
I mean,
this show was the only show
Star
on,
Trek.
so it caught on
Well,
as a.
that and the fact that it was actually something quite different from other shows at the time. It wasn't the Twilight Zone, um, and it wasn't, uh, Tales from the Crypt, one of these sort of creepier shows. And it didn't. I mean, when you look at it now and you're like, oh, it's very campy, it's very this, very that. But to its standard at the time, that was hard. Like it was really good. It was like primo TV. And the special effects were fantastic. You weren't seeing anything like this. It was a spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just one of those, nostalgia and time changed so much.
Mm-hmm. I will
Star
say
Trek.
this: the one person that has said so much wrong recently and is a bit of a cunt, and full well that I know that he's going to the Comic Con I'm going to, and I want to pay 90, and I'm so badly tempted to pay 95 quid just to go to him and go, my dear God, it's Captain James Tiberius Kirk, even though I know he will hate me for it.
Oh yeah.
But it's like he came out and literally in defense of in saying that it was a sad thing they cancelled Academy, because even he said it's Star Trek has always been human stories about the best of humanity, the human stories. I'm like, wait, is William Shatner actually defending Starfleet Academy? What? I did not have the guy that's been kind of a bit of a dick for the last few years and kind of been pissing off the Star Trek fandom, being the one of the Star Trek cast members defending the show and saying they shouldn't have cancelled it. Okay,
Mhm.
it's a bit of a it's sharp. It's like it's because even he understands. I think it is because he's mellowing out in his old age. Let's be honest, a bit more. But it's
To some extent, I guess.
because I think even he understands that the show it's the show didn't need to be. The show was, yes, but I think both me and almost every Star Trek series' first season usually kind of sucks. It usually takes like the second season for most Star Trek shows to find their footing.
Well, most shows do because you got to remember you've got to try and get the
Mm-hmm.
entire cast to start to gel properly on screen
Yeah,
and stuff like
I will
that.
say this:
Uh,
Academy has been, like, in my opinion, has been the most coherent first season of a Star Trek show. Like, as in, like the cast seemed to have gotten along really quickly, and like sort of their characters seemed very natural in the way that they're all like in their acting coming off each other. If that makes sense. That like then a lot of like even TNG's like first season feels a bit awkward in some scenes with an actor with characters, and it's it took to like season 2 and 3 for them to the cast to kind of all gel properly, and it's like the Academy seems to have like it's had a really good like in terms of in my opinion in terms of story, in terms of like the way the series has been like has been a really strong first season, which is generally rare for Star Trek. So even Discovery's first season's a bit like it's not bad, but it's a bit to compared to season 2
mhm.
onwards. And like I'm a person that's loved every Star Trek series. I love Voyager. I like Voyager. I like Deep Space Nine. I like the original series. Even though it's dated and aged, I love the original series still. I love the animated original series. I love Lower Decks. I've enjoyed Prodigy. I enjoyed Prodigy a lot. I actually generally loved season 2 with Will Wheaton in it. I like seeing Will Wheaton back. You know,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah,
loved
I mean,
Academy. Academy to me was I loved the little character. I loved also the fact that for example the kind of Darian's episode. Darren's episode. His
Mhm.
like character progression episode of where he's kidnapped for his wedding and stuff. The fact that Jaden, the Klingon character who's completely says I'm a pacifist Klingon, I don't want to fight ever, immediately jumps to his friend's defense and is willing to fight for his friend. Like he's willing to
yeah,
break his own thing because And I'm like, even though you can even tell from the way those two interact, like before that episode, most times they don't actually like each other that much. They really do hate each other half the time. But he's still willing because that's my friend. I will jump to save him.
Yeah, well, I mean, their sort of conflict comes from the fact that he doesn't like his boyfriend.
Oh,
They
yeah.
don't. His boyfriend don't get on.
Well, it's not
Which
just
is
that. The conflict also comes from the fact that Darian is a little bit of a dick, but it
a bit of a
also makes
dick.
sense. He's a prince. He's essentially a prince of his
Yeah.
people. He's a bit stuck up. He's the royalty. I also love that the Beta Zeds basically, the princess of the Beta Zeds, Tarima, is like the most humble person, and it's like, and it's because she's basically like that one Betazoid we meet in, the TNG episode, the one that like is giving everyone nightmares. Like
Yeah.
that's essentially what she has. I'm like, I recognize that condition from that, and they've now found a way to cure, to deal with it without them having to be put in like asylums and stuff.
Mhm.
Like that technology's come along, and I understand that. And I'm like, I love the whole Tarima and like Caleb arc where Tarima thinks that because he's seen that side of her that he's going to reject her, and he's like, no, I don't, and it's like that. It's that whole overcoming it between the two of them. Like that is such a such a nice little romance, and what I mean. But it's that the only thing that I do miss is we don't have, and I'm going to say this, and I think this is the one thing that we need since you brought Betazoids back into it. We needed a Luxana Troy style character. I'm sorry, but we needed that character. We needed that kind of character, in my opinion, when you bring Betazoids back in, just because
Mhm.
the hilarity that always ensues. You need that little bit of comedy Betazoid character that is just Luxana Troy, who is let's be honest, the horniest motherfucker on the planet. You can't argue with that. She is the horniest motherfucker in like the whole of Star Trek.
Oh
And
yes.
and I love it because it's like every episode she shows every episode she shows up in TNG, is a good episode because Picard's going to be basically running away from her for most of the episode, or whoever her unfortunate like sudden, like love interest is this episode is going to be
Yeah.
trying to get away from her. And it's like, I love this character. She's brilliant, and it's like when she is that your surname when she meets Odo, and I'm like, for God's sake, Luxana, no, leave Odo alone, not Odo. Just she's brilliant. She's such a good character.
She is, but she's also very sweet. There's like in that Odo episode where they're locked in the elevator, and she's like, "Just do what you need to do. Don't worry about me." It's one thing I have to worry about is other people's perception of me. You shouldn't have to worry about that from me.
Well, it's like
Um,
the TNG episode where she meets the guy who's like their civilization's like has that whole ritual sacrifice thing,
Mhm.
and she falls in love with him, and and it's like in the end she accepts, it's his family's tradition, it's his people's tradition. She won't agree with it, but she wants to be there on his like his final moments because she's and I'm like, it's like it shows character growth with her, and it shows that she is, she's a loud, you know, very obnoxious, a bit obnoxious sometimes, and forceful, woman. But she's also sweet. She's also like she understands. She it comes round to understanding like other people's perspectives and stuff because of everything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like the Ferengi episode that always makes me laugh with Picard at the end. Just going, nope, go away, just go away, not again.
No.
I love it because she knows that Picard doesn't want her, and she just like to wind him up every fucking time, and it's brilliant.
Mhm.
Like, I know exactly
yeah.
which buttons to press on this person. I'm going to press them every fucking time. It's a shame that she didn't show back up in Picard. I would have loved to have seen her back in Picard, just even for like.
She had already passed away by then.
I know it's a sad thing she passed away, but if she was still alive, I reckon we would have met. She would have showed up again in that in just one episode.
Well, we do. In kind of a weird way to do because they had so many voice clips of her.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was also the voice of every computer from the TNG onwards. That's why in Picard, we do still get
I know a little bit of a voice with a
West.
computer. It's like
Yeah.
one of my friends went, "Why didn't they take one of the people like Spill Criticism was going, why didn't they take like Voyager and Voyager in like the last episode?" I'm going, it's a TNG literal series. Why would they take the ship from another series and not take the
It
original?
was meant to be the point that we saw them back on the original,
Yeah,
on the Enterprise
on
D.
that bridge.
That was the thing.
Yeah, we saw them on the bridge, and also Data basically being now able to feel emotions and actually be felt. And I'm like, I,
I did find that funny
I
the way
found
he's
that
just
hilarious.
laughing.
I think what it was is they went, Brent can't keep a straight face anymore. He can't do it anymore. It's just let him have emotions finally. Just do it. Let
Yeah,
him let him be himself finally. It's like
pretty much.
Because Brent is just hilarious. Because the amount of times if you watch the original TNG that he almost breaks character. He's
I mean, if you watch any of the outtakes and stuff, he's always going somewhere.
he is. He's also always winding the cast up. It's like, yeah. I love. I do. I love Brent Spiner. He is just hilarious. Robert Picardo is also hilarious. I love Robert Picardo as well.
Always good in stuff. People forget that he was in the second Gremlins film, which is quite funny.
I don't. I always remember that bit. But I also love. I love seeing him in anything. Anything I've ever seen him in, he's always good. Even if it's like a shitty B movie, and he's like, I'm just being in this, and just acting in it. He's like the best character in the film
Hmm.
because it's his style of acting, and he's brilliant. He's like plays Doctor in Voyager. He is, and I loved that bit in the finale where we basically get, the little callback to. So how has he been transmitting himself around everywhere? He literally has He is the same hollow emitter he's had for, for nearly for 600 years. Like that man has not upgraded. He is that hollow emitter still.
Hmm.
All the way back from when they got it in Voyager. I'm like, that is a wonderful little. I also loved the Sam episode with him and Sam. Uh,
Well, yeah, I mean, the bit that got me with that was the whole when he starts talking about, you know,
mhm,
yeah, having his kids and that family, the family he had, and having to watch the daughter die and deciding that, that wasn't something he was going to go back to doing, and then, getting to see every single person he knows
mhm,
die. So that's why he doesn't want to be
mhm,
connected. But then, once again, for me, that was always, as we've discussed, that was always something I found a bit jarring as well, especially because of everything that he did in those episodes about making photonic life an actual recognizable life form.
mhm.
I really thought he would have been a lot more,
I think it is. It's
lot
because
more
the episode
connected
does
to her.
establish that he's lost friends and everything, but it's the hurt. It's losing like his family and his children that he kind of created. That that it's losing them that basically broke him.
Yeah, oh,
Whereas losing
completely.
all his
Like I said, I
friends, he's like,
completely get it.
it's hurt him over the years, but he's like, they're my friends. I know they're going to die. They're organics. He's consigned himself. I know you're going to die eventually, but I will enjoy the life. The friendship and the life we get. As long as you're alive. Whereas because they were photonic, with the family that he made and everything, he didn't expect them to die.
Yeah.
And I think that generally broke him to the point of he kind of regressed and like like when like a trauma response of regressing back to that way he was when he first was activated on Voyager, a bit more detached from everyone, if you know what I mean, because of it.
Mhm.
And like the whole Sam thing of, I did love the fact that they actually point out that yeah, you failed by not giving Sam a childhood. So because of this, she doesn't know how to deal with trauma because that's what being a kid does. It helps us deal with these sort of things that come in our teen years. Because we learn by the mistakes we make as a kid, like falling over and dealing with pain and dealing with falling out with friends and everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, and I actually like that they acknowledge that, and I actually genuinely think that that was a really good way of, you know, And it also let the actress actually act a lot more natural, if you noticed after that episode. And I actually genuinely think that was a really good way of doing it, because and having her like have that conflicting bit of where she's trying to reconcile the fact that she is not only who she is now, but she has the memories of her past self as well.
Mhm.
And it's like her trying to reconcile that I don't want to be like, you know, like, I just, it's reconciling who she is. And I'm like, this is genuinely a good character development. This is genuinely good, like, her and Genesis being like, friends and everything. And I'm like, and Genesis just being, no matter, like, just being her friend no matter what, and doesn't care, want her to be the old Sam. She's like, no, you are Sam. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I genuinely like this because you've done positive character growth and like development stuff for all these characters. And I'm sad that Academy is only getting a second season and then it's gone. We're getting 2 seasons, the show's then gone. I'm going to be honest, that makes me sad because I genuinely was hoping that we'd get all 4 seasons they wanted to do, like a college, like a college year basically of first year, second year, third year, fourth year, you know. But at
Well,
least
we do know we've got a second season because the actual it was all one of the issues around it actually being cancelled was the fact that it had already been signed up for a second season,
we've already
contracted
filmed
for
it.
2 seasons.
The second season's
Yeah,
finished filming. That's the thing. It's in post production now. So
yeah, but that's the thing. So like the money returns that the money they've put into it already, like the unless something major happens in that second season, um,
mhm.
it looks like they're not going to make their money back on what they spent, which is why they've had to cancel.
Yeah, I would honestly laugh if the second season becomes so popular they actually make the money back, and it's like, maybe we should reconsider this. It's like, shit.
I mean, it's very likely. I mean, if that happens, it's very likely that they will do something more with it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
Um,
Strange New Worlds, we're getting season 4 later this year, and then season 5 next year anyway, because season 5 is the last season. We know it's the last season. They planned 5 seasons, and season 5 is the season that will end in the incident. We know it. We know where this series is going.
mhm.
We already know what we're getting close to that star date, the date that Pike is put in the chair. He knows he can't avoid it because he's been shown by himself in the future that you avoid this, you end up at this instant from the original series, and you fuck up and start a war with the Romulans. Kirk has to be here. Kirk is the only one that prevents the war. And I
Well,
actually
there's
like,
quite a few bits that we
I,
need to get him into, really.
oh yeah, but I love that bit where when they did that the bit where like if he finds a way to do it and his future self showed him what happens, and I love that it's that episode where we first find out what the Romulans are. The episode where it's first revealed the Romulans are just the offshoot of the Vulcans. And I love that it's a rehash of that episode with Pike, and because of Pike's more diplomatic approach, he shows weakness, which starts a war with the Romulan Empire. Because it's the Romulans that don't value diplomacy; they value strength. Whereas because Kirk blows the ship up at the end of the episode, it shows the Romulans the Federation has strength, and that they shouldn't go to war with the Federation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And because Pike doesn't, solves it diplomatically. It starts a war because the Romulans see that as weakness, and it's like it is a nice way of showing that Pike is a different captain from Kirk. He's a diplomatic captain, whereas Kirk is a bit brash. He's a bit, shoot first, ask questions later sometimes. We've known that for years about Kirk, like from the beginning. But he can be diplomatic when he needs to be. But he knows when you need to show strength. And honestly, I think picking that episode as the one to show the fundamental difference and the reason why Pike has to end up in the chair, like he has to do, save those cadets and end up in the chair, is such a good way of doing it because it is such like in the original series, it is such like a defining episode of the original series. You know what I mean?
Very true.
Because it's the first episode we meet the Romulans, and in my opinion, Romulans are the best bad guys because they're awesome and they have the best ships, and you can't convince me otherwise. And I don't think
Uh,
you'd ever try and convince me that a Daenerys class warbird is not the coolest Star Trek ship in existence, besides the Scimitar Dreadnought from
yeah, I
Nemesis.
mean, I was always a fan of the one from Nemesis. I've got multiple of them on my Star Trek Online account.
So do I. I have all three. It's like I have all three variants. Why? Because I love this ship. I also have like the Warbird as well. Because I did a Romulan character and got a Warbird. Because why the hell not? But it is
But
the
yeah, no, but Star Trek as a whole, I mean, it's just one of those things now. I mean, you can't complain too much
yeah.
if you're a Star Trek fan of any kind.
No, there's
You
always
can be upset by the things that aren't that not upset, but you can be personally annoyed that some of the things that aren't that you're liking. But the thing is, and this is something so many people have to remember, is that there was a period of time, um, just before the Calvin universe started up, and just after Enterprise, where everything was cancelled.
mm-hmm.
It was a dead franchise. They even StarTrek.com shut down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they mothballed the site. It was like,
We
we're not
literally
making.
were
There's no more Star Trek.
in a
There's
drought
nothing else.
for Star Trek for years.
Yeah.
And then then it was Enterprise. It was Enterprise that was the show that brought it back, wasn't it?
No, because it was after Enterprise had gone. That was it. There was no more. Because, like literally, that there was always talk about something new coming up. Red Squadron was always being put forward and never happening. And then then there was nothing. Like Paramount had said, no, this is now a cancelled franchise. We're not doing anything with this. There is no money in it. There is no there is no reason to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then StarTrek.com literally had a big banner up that was like, yeah, this now basically this has been an archived site. We're not doing anything more with it. And then all of a sudden, those the Chris Pine movies came out.
The J.J. Abrams films, came out,
and it changed the landscape for Star Trek in so many ways.
Yeah, they were good. I'm still mad that we never got the series that was proposed to be set in that timeline to give us that alternate universe's timeline. Like, there was.
I mean, this was it. This was this is one of the things about Star Trek is that a lot of people would, but the problem is that there were so many things around what they could and couldn't do, and to my knowledge, that at least at the time of the first two films, contractually there wasn't they couldn't do anything serial from that. They couldn't do anything like a show from what they were doing because it was a bit run and gun, that film. They weren't allowed to have it set in
and the second film
the main timeline universe.
Was straight up just Wrath of Khan rehashed. Let's be absolutely fucking honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I mean is like those universes, they couldn't tell stories like they couldn't say, oh, these are the characters from that original series. Just it's a movie now set with those characters. They had to donate it and show it as being something other. So that's why we got this sort of this extra timeline, this new timeline of stuff. But it was very limited on what they could do with it after that. Yeah.
And old Spock breaking the very first tenet of time travel to speak to young Spock. I will never. I will forgive that because we got to see Leonard Nimoy back on the screen again before he passed away. At least we got like Leonard Nimoy back in Star Trek one last time. That's the main thing to me. I also love the fact that when he describes Khan as the greatest enemy that him and Jim ever faced, is the truth. It is honestly the truth. Khan is is Kirk's greatest villain.
Yeah. I mean, Khan was iconic, especially because of and it's one of those characters that shouldn't have been. I mean, his first appearance, Botany Bay, with him coming off the Botany Bay, was a great episode. I think Space Seed. I can never remember the name. But it was done well. But then when they made that second film, when they made the Wrath of Khan, no one was expecting that at all.
No.
Because you had two things going on at pretty much the same time. You had a guy making Star Trek that really didn't want to make a sci-fi film. He wanted to make a submarine film. He wanted to make a naval film. So that's why when we watch those films, you actually see those battles are very much submarine battles, and that's what makes that stuff look great.
It is.
But on the other
Ironically,
side, you had
the guy that made that film because he didn't want to make a sci-fi film, he wanted to make that, is the whole reason
and made
Wrath
one
of
of the
Khan
greatest.
is the best. Is one of the best Star Trek films.
Yeah,
It
and
is
then the same thing with the guy who played Khan. They had a fantastic actor when they got him in the series, but his abilities and his fame had only skyrocketed to being known as this fantastic character actor in Hollywood. And he had managed to then put all of those skills that he had got together and made something awesome.
Oh yeah, Ricardo Montalban.
Mm-hmm. See, the other thing is that he'd spent. So people do like to break down his career as just being Khan and being the guy from Love Island, Fantasy Island.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, he was doing so much stuff, and everything he did was on point. Even just sort of small scenes. He was definitely someone who could command the screen.
Yeah, it is legit. It is. He had such screen presence from Hell's Hearth. I stab at thee. It was so good, and it does
It
give us
was
the most
very
iconic line in
Shakespearean.
Star Trek of Khan.
Yeah,
I can't do William Shatner scream at that scene.
no one can do it like him unless you're a goat.
No, no, unless you're a goat. But yeah. But it is one of those things that's like, not like, but yeah. I also loved seeing him in. I will admit, I liked Benedict Cumberbatch's version of Khan as well. I liked the difference. He
Yes,
was a very different version of him to the one in the original series. Like the one in the original series was, very theatrical and very over the top, whereas Benedict Cumberbatch's Into Darkness version was very much that calm, patient psychopath. You know what I mean? Manipulator. He was very like he was that. Like, if you know what I mean, like rather than the rage villain, like original Khan had a bit of rage and stuff, he was very just methodical and quiet and straight up, which made him more terrifying. And I'm like, I like that he did his like they did Khan in their own way, but everyone who watched the trailer for that film, we knew that was Khan from the minute we saw it. We knew that they just basically made Wrath of Khan again.
yeah, and so many people called it because there was a big. They were trying to push that he was actually going to be Commander Mitchell, and that was the thing everyone was going for. This is going to be the Mitchell storyline, and then the woman's going to be transformed at the end, and this is going to see like the super god character. And then I can't remember when it was, but then because something happened, some trailer came out, and it was almost instant. Everyone went, "Can't, it's can't."
Yeah.
And that was quite funny, and I can't remember what it was. It was something about one of the trailers, and like everyone was like, "Oh, we were wrong." That would have been that still should have been one of the storylines I went through. Star Trek Beyond shouldn't have been that storyline. It really should have been actually the Gary Mitchell storyline, I think.
Alright. Well, Into Darkness is the one
Because
with Khan. Beyond is the one where the Enterprise crashes.
that's what I mean. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Beyond shouldn't have been the story that they had. The story that they should have had in Beyond should have been the Gary Mitchell story, because that would have been. I think that would have been better. Thematically, that would have been better, because that's three really distinct points in Star Trek lore. I mean, we never got to see the creation of the Enterprise crew, but we did in the first film. The second film, being Wrath of Khan, was once again perfect. The third film should have been from another big story point from that season, from the original series, that was actually expanded out in a weird way in this new universe. And I think the Gary Mitchell one would have been great, because from there they really could have made it a case of what is the big problem here. Because if they did it like the series, then obviously he's overpowered and he's becoming this almost evil god. But in the film, they could have actually expanded that out to him, so kind of like what you were saying in the show. I can see how to fix things, and you can't fix the things I can fix. I have the power of a god. I can remove any problem that we have as the Federation. We could make the universe better. And actually, then the actual counterpoint there would be Kirk going, "Your way isn't better. Your way is dictatorship. Yeah, you can make everyone think that what they're doing is right and good, but you're still removing free will. And you know what? Free will means complication. Free will means people fucking up. Free will means that some people are going to be segregated. But you know what? You need to have the free will to learn that those things are wrong and progress." And that would have been a great dichotomy from that original episode as well,
It's one thing,
because
the one
you're
thing I
not
always
making him the
love
evil
about
guy.
Star Trek fans, not Star Trek fans, how I don't understand how some Star Trek fans miss this. That as Picard even says, they're a post-capitalist society in the next generation, where money doesn't matter, and money doesn't in the Federation itself, money isn't really it's your reputation that is your currency rather than your
Mhm.
money, because you don't really have money, since everyone has a fucking replicator. We don't require it. They've solved that issue. There's no resource scarcity. It's the biggest thing. It's that episode where they find the three people in the next generation, and those guys going, "I bet my money's worth so much." It's like, it's worth nothing. Money doesn't exist.
Yes.
And I love that entire episode. It's like Star Trek is literally the post-capitalist society that we want. Getting rid of greed is actually a way it makes us better humans when we're no longer trying to pursue one thing over everything else.
Yeah.
It's not a
We
perfect
we now
society.
work to the betterment of others.
Yeah.
Which does come to a weird thing though, because that's not the. This is why I always find Deep Space. There's the one issue I have with Deep Space Nine, because it could have actually answered some questions.
Mm-hmm.
In the fact that I get it, within the Federation, you don't need money, and if you can do whatever you want. You get whatever. But once you're outside of the Federation, people still use currency. Nearly all the other races use currency of some kind to get things from other places. Um, so
Well, it's Latinum.
what would they do in that situation?
The
Well,
Federation tends
yeah,
to trade Latinum with other civilizations because they don't value it as much as, for example, the Ferengi do.
yeah, but it's a gold pressed latinum, which is the thing, because latinum in its raw state is liquid and it's inside a golden shell there. Isn't easily replicatable, or at least when you do replicate it, it is noticeable, so makes it lesser value. Now then, and you can't imagine O'Brien having a stockpile of latinum somewhere,
No.
to go down to Quirk's bar and buy a sandwich. So what happens in that situation? It would have been interesting to actually see what that is.
Yeah, because we know from how the Federation on a whole deals with it, like the main Federation, they just trade. It's like it's a barter system that they used, for other civilizations. They barter the resources the other civilization needs that they can produce. Like that's quite simple. How we know it's done on like the
Yeah,
galactic
once again,
scale.
I get that,
But
but then
it is.
why
I agree with you. DS9
anything
did
of
need.
value that the Federation could give, anyone with a replicator could already make that. So it makes half of what they're doing unimportant. And it's not like they can trade technology because they don't trade technology.
No.
Um, I would have kind of liked to have seen that what they do there. Do they in fact do the Federation in fact have this stockpile of latinum that they give to staff when they need to do shit? Because you can't always go around and go, oh, do you want a new power cell?
Oh yeah, it is a very weird situation. Is that Deep Space Nine did need to address it, or does the Federation have a form of currency? It's just that in the it's just that it's not really worth much in the Federation because they can just reproduce it, but other civilizations might not be able to. It's like it's the query of how they of how it works. Deep Space Nine should have answered it, but it never did.
And it's the only show that really could. I mean, the one show that kind of did in a weird way was Voyager, because the whole point was they're in such a weird place.
Mm-hmm.
But then everything that they had where they was valuable. Even the most shittiest thing that in the Federation everyone has tons of was so scarce in the Delta Quadrant that it was of value. And they kind of answered that question. But once you're in sort of Federation adjoined space, it kind of loses value. It's really weird. Just a weird one. And that's kind of something. It's something I would like answered. But honestly, if they answered it, I think I wouldn't be impressed with the answer. So it's like just leave it to my imagination.
Yeah, no, it's one of those answers that you probably, if you got it, the answer would be more disappointing.
Yeah,
than enlightening, if that makes sense.
very true. Very true.
But yeah, in all honesty, like with Trek, it is one of those franchises. We know that we're only having Strange New Worlds now for the next 2 years, basically, and then we're going to see what Paramount does. I agree. The future timeline just needed either an animated series or an actual live action series focused on the War College to show us, the Federation's new perspective of this galaxy, or even do something out there. Give us a Star Trek show that the Federation is not the main character.
Yes. Oh,
Give
I'm sure I've told you about this before. I was actually involved in writing a script. It was completely unasked for. This was us sending it unsolicited. Well, not unsolicited. We made sure it was sent the right way. But yeah, it was for a Klingon Star Trek series following a rogue house. A Klingon that had been removed from his house for whatever reason and having to go back up the ranks of honor in his own name. And something like that would be perfect. It is a known race that people love with a set of traditions that we already understand. And now it would just be the inner workings of that. And the groundwork had already been done on Star Trek Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, thanks to Worf. And yeah, it something like that would work. Because there's so much stuff going on in that part of space that we already know about that we would like to know before. But the whole interactions between them and the Romulans is so much different than the interaction between the Federation and the Romulans. The Klingons and the Breen, the Klingons and the what's the name of the bleeding lizard people?
Gorn.
The Gorn are all so different and complicated.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like, for example, Prodigy, a series we wrote about earlier. That had the opportunity to be that. They could have used that Starfleet ship and had it as a series where they were just, the protostar was these kids that aren't anything to do with Starfleet. You know what I mean? They've just got a Starfleet ship because that's what, they've stolen by accident. You know what I mean? Um, and it could have been like that, but again, just morphed into a Starfleet series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, it is a little disappointing. It's the one disappointing thing about Project. The rest of it, I'm fine. But I do agree, we need a series in Star Trek that isn't the Federation. Give us the perspective of how the Klingons, the Romulans, the Gorn, or how these other races view the Federation itself.
And the other thing is that with all the alien races, like yes, like the Vulcans and the Romulans and the Ferengi and all that, we know so much. We know quite a bit about them. But the only ones that have ever really been, even after all this time, fully rounded with any kind of emotion or reason to their actions is the Klingons. Because the Vulcans, loads of stuff about the Vulcans, got their own language, everything. But they're all, other than in a few instances with things like Spock and all the stuff with T'Pel in Enterprise and T'Prang, we saw very little idea of emotion. And we get it that they're Vulcans, they don't have it, but actually, no, they do. It is a suppressed thing, and and the problem with that would be a great thing to follow, especially if go to the idea of there was. I mean, if you said it in the past, you do a great series about that intermission gap between Vulcans and Romulans. What was that transfer like? What was that when the species broke apart? Was that would be an interesting series to watch?
Mm-hmm.
But in a modern day, for want of a better term, the only real group of people that we ever get to know really well is the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
We see how they interact with themselves. We see their rules and laws. We see how certain traditions are used and upheld.
Mm-hmm.
And that has got so much law already based in it that you could do so much.
Yeah. Or even just doing it about the Romulans and giving us more information how they're like of the Romulans and how their society functions and everything. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, because once again, everything we'll ever get is the Tal Shiar. We know like the Tal Shiar hold over everything, and they sort of, and it's the same sort of issue we had with the Kardashians. Once you get to this point where everyone's controlled by this hyper government that won't let you do anything, what would actually then be more interesting, which is something Star Trek wouldn't do, sadly, unless there are one shots, is what is that like for the people? Because not all Romulans are going to be the same, but the ones in the military are going to be pushed to a point. They're going to be molded into a shape. I mean, we had that great episode of Voyager where they bring a Romulan over, and he's like, "This is like, this is great. I'm not actually. I'm a scientist. I'm not part of the military really, but."
Well, it's like the episode with Spock in the original in TNG when he's on Romulus, the two-parter with Picard and I think it's Riker with him. I can't remember who was with him. That are like disguised as Romulans, and and it's you see like the average Romulan citizenship, like it is very much a military like dictatorship of citizens are questioned at random basically and distrusting of each other. And you get that whole like with him where Romulans are thinking of reunification and stuff. It is such a good it is a good episode. We only get a little tiny glimpse into how Romulan culture is. You don't get a
Yeah,
full glimpse. I'd love to have a series that's set just standard Romulans, not even the not Like even the Remans, the other side of the Romulans, like to learn more about them than we did. Like it's whole stuff of why can't we learn all of this stuff? Why can't we have a series that doesn't focus on the Federation, focus on these guys? Or hell, I'd love to learn more about is it the Tholians that only show up in one
Yeah.
episode, but a fucking cool as hell idea of a hive mind of aliens that are kind of lava based, and the reason and like I would love to see more. I could then appear in another episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that, like, oh yes, I would. I mean, probably barring that one weird thing in Enterprise where you see one of them and it's like all geometric shapes. Um, the idea is that they're so like the Breen, they're so different from us.
Mm-hmm.
That
Well, yeah, they're a hive mind. It's weird.
yeah,
They're a hive
that
mind.
actually they would be very different.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'd love not to like explore like an episode like from their point of view. I would just love an episode to show the Federation's maybe the first time the Federation interacted with them. If you know what I mean, like properly. Like, you know, or even the Federation attempting to interact with them again. You know what I mean? Like to try and understand them and try something new. Because it's like there's so many other races in the Star Trek universe that are mentioned that really could do with, I'm going to be honest, more screen time. It's why Strange New Worlds going with the whole Gorn thing in like the first two seasons, to me, was such a good angle to go with. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because the only time I've ever seen the Gorn in the entirety of like from the original series up until then was that one episode with Kirk. Which, by the way, they did it. They did it again. Those bastards. They did it twice. If you know what I mean.
Mhm.
I loved that episode with La'an and the Gorn, and then I realized, holy shit, it's those bastards. It's like fucking hell, they did it again. And it's nice. It's like a nice little callback to the original series of, yeah, they did this to La'an as well. They did this previously to the Federation.
I did like how I've got to say, as much as I would love to have seen the original design incorporated a bit better into their look,
Mm-hmm.
I really, really did like how they actually did it reinforce that or added to the lore of the Gorn
Mm-hmm.
and exactly how nasty they are.
Yeah.
Um,
I also
because the other
love,
side,
is it the earlier episode in that same season, how we got a certain someone, um, basically before Spock technically meets him and learns his name. Uh, Trelane. As
yes,
I love the fact that we got Trelane as like his first, like he's like technically the first time encountering them, and also the silent confirmation based because of who voiced his father in that episode of, yeah, Trelane was the first Q we ever encountered.
yeah, I
Motherfucker.
really, really, really like how they sorted that out. That was very good.
I love it because
Um,
it's like the minute you hear that voice, I'm like, for fuck's sake, Q. But it also
the
something.
one thing I wish that they had done, especially in uh, either in Strange New Worlds or in Discovery. I think Discovery would have been a better place for it.
Mm-hmm.
Would actually be because most reason I think Discovery would be better for it is because it means Kirk and the rest of the crew of the Enterprise wouldn't have met them. Is actually meeting Sirach. At some point, Spock's out there doing his thing with Michael Burnham, and then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
the half brother turns up, and he's like, "Oh, I see. The favored sibling. You're still with the favored sibling, not with me." And that would actually set up um, so much of the animosity for what you then get in the film later on. Because we don't get anything about his brother whatsoever.
No, we might get
And
he might show up. We don't know later in Strange New
it's
Worlds later.
possible. But the problem with it being in Strange New Worlds is it is such a big shock to the crew that he has a brother in that film.
Hmm.
That if you now bring him up in Strange New Worlds, the horror has to now meet him. Kirk meets him.
Well, you could have it
Uh,
as an episode.
Chekhov meets
You
him.
could have it as a Spock solo episode, though. If you know what I mean, like having Spock stranded somewhere, and it's Sirok, and end up running and meeting Sirok, basically. So it's
Mhm.
you because there is ways they could do like the whole Trelane episode. They never called him Trelane until the writers confirmed at the end of the episode after it aired that was Trelane. And yes, Trelane is a Q. More specifically, it's more likely the young Q from Voyager that when he gets offloaded to Auntie Janeway. Basically, it's possibly him, but because Q's transdimensional timeline, it's another punishment for him being still a child. Hence the childishness, and that might be the point where Q decides to go and offload him to Janeway to try and teach him a lesson, or
Mhm.
traps him on the planet. It's like I love it, the fact that that was Trelane, and it made me happy that they did a nice little callback to Trelane. Like I genuinely like that we got loads of little nice, during those episodes, the last two seasons, we're getting like subtle callbacks to the original series in ways that make sense, if you know what I mean. Eh?
Mhm.
Like those old scientists being, the portal
Yep.
from Edge of Tomorrow. And I like the fact that it's like Tendi going, Ryan's, my great aunt, my great grandmother discovered it. And that nice little callback of Orion scientists.
Yeah.
And I
And
like
there's so much. There's so much that could have been done around that. Just that aspect of Star Trek alone. They,
I love those old scientists and the fact that basically what is it that number one finds out that Boimler basically has a poster of her on his fucking wall.
yeah. Is that? Well, that's creepy. No, it's not creepy. It's not meant to be creepy.
It's a
He really
recruitment
just liked it.
poster. It's a recruitment poster. It's what made him join Starfleet. This is I love it because it's just like a silly. It's like it is. I like that episode because they mixed the lower deck humor really perfectly well with you know Strange New Worlds like more seriousness quite well. And I'm like, this is actually genuinely a really good mix. And it's one of those things that's genuinely like Strange New Worlds is not my like as I say TNG my favorite series altogether. Picard, Riker, Geordi, Data, Deanna, Beverly, and Wesley. Like and Worf. We can't forget Worf.
No.
Michael Dorn's amazing. Also, apparently Michael Dorn trolled the shit out of the actor that played Gowron. Apparently, thanks to the help of John Delancey. Apparently, they both drilled lots of holes in his bedroom. and Michael Dorn's response about this when John was like, "I just had him to pizzazz." When John's like, "I had him to pizzazz," and made it all the more better. And Michael Dorn's response is just the best $100 I ever spent. It's like, for fuck's sake. I'm like, I wouldn't put it past them because from what I've heard, he is a fucking jokester, just like Brent was. Both him and Michael Dorn for the ones that play the two most serious characters were the jokesters of the crew.
Yeah. Well, I think to an extent it kind of have to be.
Oh yeah, but I still love the bit in Picard where Riker's like, "Don't you have a weapon? I don't carry any weapons. We're gonna die."
Oh, we're gonna. Yeah, now he's become a pacifist. We're gonna die.
It's just that it's like, Worf, I need you to kill people. Nope, I am a pacifist. We're gonna die. It's like I love it because it's just funny seeing Worf and fucking Riker back together, and rather than like Riker's and Worf's usual seriousness, It's like, oh great, just joking rather than being super serious about everything.
Hmm.
But yeah, um, but I'll go on to our like second topic before we end the for the last like 20 minutes. We've talked about Star Trek a lot. Let's be honest. Is
We have.
you've not really finished it, so we're only going to go up to the bit where you've got to.
Fair enough.
I think because the ending, I don't want to
Well,
spoil it.
I'm about 30 minutes in, so yeah.
I don't want to spoil the ending for you. The ending is really good for the episode. But Daredevil Born Again, up to the bit you've gotten up to, has been just awesome, like entirely awesome. The first episode, like I have loved every minute of it. Like especially the opening sequence, the whole opening sequence on the ship. That was so good. Ah, and the ATF, the AVTF thing, the Anti Vigilante Task Force stuff. It's a bit on the nose, don't you think?
Hmm.
But also, I think it
Yeah, I
has to be
mean,
at this point.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of parallels going on with the political situation out there at the minute.
Yeah, but I'm also loving the way that like BB Urich, BB's like video is like, oh, it's perfect propaganda, all this, and then the bit you've gotten to where it's the fake kingpin going, look at how she rides I'm the kingpin of crime, just mocking Fisk and everything, wearing a mask, and it's like straight up it is propaganda. It's basically saying that it's telling lies because we're only interviewing the people that agree with this. New York's under martial law and all this shit and this, and you see it even in like the first. I think has it got has the AVTF like arrested someone yet? Yeah,
No, they had gone into the um, Greek restaurant
that bit.
and found the captain.
Yeah, where they basically where the guys beat him as they were capturing him, like straight up brutality of we don't need a warrant, we don't need this, we do what we want. The fact that he just hits the restaurant owner immediately when she's like, I don't speak English. It's like it's that level of we have the authority, you will do as we tell you.
Hmm.
Also, Matthew Lillard playing a fucking CIA agent is fucking awesome.
I'm
I
trying to
love.
work out who his character is because he's playing someone.
He is, but I love him when he shows up. I love him. He's like, sorry, I'm late. Just the fact that when he shows up in the office, they're all like, who the fuck
Hmm.
are you? You might
He's
want to
like,
answer that.
answer your phone.
Answer your phone. It's just yes. Any oversight? No, no oversight. We don't need to do anything of that. Like, you just got owned by the CIA and Miss Della Fontaine. Crap. The fact that she's even showing up in this as well, Miss Fontaine, linking
Hmm.
everything to the main MCU storyline. Like we know that they finally realize, okay, we don't need to make you watch these shows to understand what's going on. They're not going to relate to anything in the films anymore. Ah,
Well, I don't know. I think they're going, especially this series. I think they are leading very close to.
well, they are because we've
Um,
seen from the trailer for Brand New Day, Fisk is no longer mayor.
yeah, something's going to happen. Well, see, Brand New Day is. Um, so this is where I'm confused about what's going on because I know that there is this 4 year skip in Brand New Day because they've mentioned this. So I don't know how from the last film. So I don't know timeline wise, is this going to go straight into Brand New Day, or is there actually going to be like a year's development or two between them? Because it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it's 4 years after the previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We know what we're getting in it, and it's from the trailer. I am so excited to see. I am so hoping that we get to see it on live on screen. You know what I'm on about, don't you, Jax?
Hmm.
I want man.
Well, yes,
I want
the,
Man
the
Spider.
whole Man Spider storyline is going to be very good.
I am so hoping. Oh, Marvin
But yeah,
Jones the
no, it's
third's
going to
in
be
it.
interesting. Like I say, there is so much, especially if because it's. I want kids looking less like they're going for the comic books version of it, more towards the animated series version.
Hmm.
Um, and there is going to be that is going to be very interesting. But to see if it is that way, because the animated version does have a lot of connections to things like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Um, but the interesting thing that someone said to me the other day is that what happens if actually what we're seeing here is a modification of one of the stories, and that actually it's going to be the Jackal, which is the big villain in this. And for a chunk of the film, we're not following Spider Man, we're following a clone. And what we're then going to get is, I can't remember the name of
We're
it.
getting
It was
Boomerang
the
and Tarantula.
well, no, yeah, well, a lot of these things, a lot of those things look like they're going to be kind of like in the beginning part of Fantastic Four,
Yeah,
where you saw a lot of things being done
yeah. No,
quite
basically, we're going to
early
get a
on.
little bit of hit backstory of what's happened over the last 4 years. But we're getting Marvin Jones the third, the guy from Black Lightning.
Yeah,
Is playing Lonnie Lincoln slash Tombstone, and I'm really excited to see Tombstone because I like Tombstone as a bad guy. He's kind of cool.
it is.
We're getting a man. We're getting Ezra fucking Miller. I'm not going to stop calling Eman Estandi as Ezra because that's what because that's what he played in Ahsoka as a new
Yeah,
boyfriend for MJ in this one. We're getting Sheila Riviera though back, but yeah,
it should be a good cast. I mean, it's a good cast.
we're getting the hand. The main thing is we're getting the hand in this. And that bit with the hand where his eyes go black, I'm like, oh shit, he's about to start transforming. Uh oh.
But this is, like I said, I can't remember what is the name of. I'm going to find out the name of the character. But there is basically it was a mutant version of Man Spider. Uh, with he has he has barbed wire webbing, and he's really only majorly important in the Maximum Carnage storyline where he's uh, basically Shriek's pet. Um, and this will be interesting. Like I say, it'd be interesting if what turns out to be is that we're not, for a chunk of it, we're not following Peter Parker, we're following a clone, and that instead of getting the Man Spider, we get that thing. And Spider-Man has to. They're all trying to fight this four-armed, fucking mutated beast of Spider-Man. Um, what was his
I
name?
also love that, by the way. The one thing that made me happy in the trailer was seeing the battle van.
Yes,
The reason I think
and
we're
the
getting
whole
the Man
scene
Spider
around that.
one is because we're getting is because we have Punisher in the movie, and the Punisher is the guy that technically does help him during the fucking Man Spider bit. After
Yeah,
trying to kill him at first, but then actually realize, oh shit, I need to stop. I need to help him. I will admit, the fact that we've got Bruce Banner instead of Doc Connors being the
doppelganger. That's it, doppelganger.
yeah, we've got it's brand new
Um,
days. The one we've got is the storyline that seems we were following. It's essentially, if you remember, it's it's brand new day because this is the story. This is the one that follows on from you know one more day, the storyline that a lot of people hate, the controversial one.
yeah,
the
it
we
was
gave
very
up everything.
controversial.
We gave up everything to because it is at the end of one more day. Everyone forgets who Spider-Man is. That was part of it. The minute the spell backfired and the reason all the villains came in, I immediately was like under my breath going, "This is one more day." We are literally about that. I knew the minute that the spell backfired and everyone knew who, Peter was. The villains that came through.
Yeah.
I knew that it was one more day. My brain went, "This is one more day." Oh God, no! They're doing one more day.
Yeah, at least they didn't do it in. I mean, the problem with the comic books in it, because it was one of the reasons it's hated is because especially later on, we find out that the only reason it was ever done by the creators was because they wanted to see what the romantic landscape of Peter Parker would be like without MJ, and it wasn't very good. And it was a canon strip that just didn't last. No one wanted it. But yeah, like I said, there's so much. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out because it is going to be the film that leads us now into Secret Wars. So I mean, this is technically the beginning of this next big phase. And Spider-Man is the great character to do that with.
It could be Menace that we're gonna get because she's the villain of One More Day, of Brand New Day.
Mm.
Which would be interesting.
It will be. And I mean, I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, the Matt Gargan looks good. I mean,
But
that
in order to
Scorpion
have it,
costume,
we do
I
need
love
a
the way they've
Goblin in the
changed it.
MCU.
We do, but we are getting a Harry Osborn apparently. So,
oh no,
um,
oh no, Peter's gonna immediately go, "Oh shit," because unlike everyone else, Peter remembers all this. So Peter's meeting a Harry is gonna immediately go, Norman, Goblin. That's the thing.
well, this is the interesting thing. I don't think they're going to play it like that. Because when Norman Osborn got it, he was like, "There was no me, there was no company." So I'm wondering if the storyline that they're going to go with would be Norman Osborn died years ago, and he's being raised by his mother under a different name.
Yeah.
And then it'll be towards the end where it goes, "Oh, actually, something will happen." He goes, "Well, actually, that's just my mum's new married name. My dad was Norman Osborn." What?
What? What I really like is the idea, though, that this Peter knows the names of quite a few of his villains that will show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually genuinely like it because it gives them like a unique aspect of having it. If he meets someone, like example, he meets Otto Octavius, of having like that chance of Peter trying to prevent what happens to Otto, to turn them into Doc Ock, or Doc Connors, or Flint Marko, or the various different villains that he's met. Like it actually gives like as a unique perspective. The Spider-Man has a chance to try and stop it, or they could do it, and in trying to stop it, this Spider-Man's the one that accidentally creates them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
To which would give Peter that guilt, and also it gives him that motivation to be.
I just in my thing, because Peter Parker's not my favourite Spider. I mean, we've had this conversation.
Well, you like
Peter Parker's not my favourite. I'm a massive Ben Reilly fan. Massive.
I
Yeah.
like Ben. I love Peter because Peter's the one I grew up.
And I would love an actual, because everyone slags off the Clone Saga, but we got so many great characters from that, and I would love to see a version of that in live action.
What if we're not getting the Clone Saga in this movie? What if the end credits bit is someone having Peter's DNA?
Yeah. I mean, this is why I say to say the hint I'll be someone has told me is that we're going to see the Jackals in some capacity. But like I say, that I can't remember the name of it. What was his name? He had like a really religious name. And he was another clone of Spider-Man, but his powers were
Kane.
janky. Kane, that was it. And he had the mark of Kane, that was it. Because his ability to stick to walls is slightly corrupted. And if he touches someone, it actually burns through their skin. That would be an interesting pylon.
Well,
and then from that you can get Ben Riley, and then from that you
it's
can
like we
also
say, we
get
don't know
some of the
who
other.
Keith David's playing, and considering in the trailer he's the one voicing the trailer, he
Mhm.
is obviously a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's Keith David, which makes me happy because I like Keith David.
Everyone loves Keith David.
Yeah. But there's rumors that we're getting that that Charlie Cox is going to be back in the movie, even though he's vehemently denying it. But then he also said, if I was in the film, I'd vehemently deny it as well because I'm not allowed to tell you I am not in the film.
He's alive.
We know he's probably in the film. If it's the Hand, it'll be Daredevil and the Punisher will probably teamed up. But apparently, I like that Holland and Berthenal have basically said the dynamic between Park and Castle has kind of evolved as he's like in Friday and filming with their characters going from hating each other to developing a kind of big brother little brother rivalry, which makes kind of sense.
Mhm.
Frank's the one been doing this for a while and is jaded, and Peter's the little annoying brother that's like, Frank, go home. And I love it. It's a good idea. It's brilliant. It is. I can't wait for no Brand New Day. Daredevil Born Again. The first episode, I've loved every minute of it, especially the little bit at the end. You'll know what I mean when you get to it. It's such a uh-oh moment. But it's also a oh, this is interesting moment as well. If you'll know what I mean when you get to it. But I want to know who Matthew Lillard is playing. Matthew Lillard is fucking amazing in anything he's in. I love Matthew Lillard. Like, everything he's in is awesome. The fact that he went from I'm the live action Shaggy to I am now Shaggy in everything. And I'm like, yep. No one does Shaggy better than Matthew Lillard. And now he's just Shaggy. And I've heard Scream 7's twist is a little bit disappointing. I've not seen it yet. I haven't had a chance to. I didn't get a chance to. But yeah. Doomsday is the 18th of the 12th this year. So it's, December.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be out and about by then.
I can't wait because I really want to watch it. But we know after this film is aired in July, we're going to start getting trailer. And I've also realised that's why May is when the Punisher show comes out. The Punisher special comes out. To establish what Frank's been doing before the movie comes out. Have you
I hope so.
Have you noticed the film's called The Last Kill?
No, I hadn't noticed anything about the names.
The Punisher thing is his Punisher special is called Punisher Last Kill.
Well, it'd be interesting to see whereabouts they put that then in the timeline wise, because
it'll probably be just after Daredevil season ends, and before, within the 4 years before Brand New Day. But yeah. But that's been another episode of the podcast. We stream on a Sunday. We stream usually every Sunday. The podcast is usually every 2 weeks. The VOD is available on YouTube, not on Switch. If you want to watch the VOD, you have to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
But this has been the Not Your Heroes podcast. This has been episode 13 of season 2, Born Again, Gaming. The title is now underneath Jax's name. I was going to write idiot under his name, but I thought that'd be mean.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit today. But yeah, that is in essence what we've discussed today is mostly Star Trek a little bit of Daredevil, the new Daredevil series. We don't really want to discuss too much. It's only just started coming out. And it only came, the first episode only came out yesterday, which is why we're trying to only like discuss little bits about it. We do try and avoid the spoilers for the shows coming out that are currently coming out. We talk about them, but we try and talk about the episodes that have been out like the previous week more than the episode that came out yesterday. In this case, there's only one episode out. There'll be 2 episodes out by the time we get to the next one, so we'll discuss a bit more about it next time we're back. I'm going to go because my voice is going. My name's Guren.
Yeah, I can hear that. Yeah, it's starting to crack.
My name's Guren. That's Jax. I'm going to go make a cup of tea, and we'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks. And our Alien series will resume once we get round to it. We just have some other issues to deal with at the moment before we can get back
Yeah,
to it.
I've got loads of stuff going on, which is sort of stopping filming at the minute, but we'll get back.
Yep, we've got luckily Hex from the channel has helping out in recording Showcase. The Showcase series won't stop; it will carry on. We have got other staff members on the channel helping out. So
Yeah, we'll be around.
we'll be back hopefully in 2 weeks' time. Have a good weekend. Have a good life. Have a good one. All right, and I'll say goodbye. Say goodbye, Jax.
Goodbye, Jack.